Hello everyone, this is Redact, and this game is called Suzerain. Last episode, the stupid Bumbergians, or whatever they're called, decided to declare war on us. They will regret their stupidity. Right, new news. Let's see what's going on here. Read report. Air Force issues civil flight warning. The Air Force has issued a warning against non-essential air travel. Civilians are discouraged from booking flights except in cases of business purposes or to visit sick or dying relatives. Okay. Read a report from Whole Sword. Military assumes interior security duties. With the new powers it's been granted, the Swordist military has assumed responsibility for keeping the peace within Sordland's borders, overriding local police authority. Extra troops have been dispatched to calm strong arm to manage the growing unrest in Whole Sword. Okay. Don't think it's a good idea to let the military do that, but fine. I arrived at the Ministry of Defence and entered the war room to discuss war plans with the General Staff. I'd never seen this room so packed with people. Every single top-ranking general and admiral in Sordland was in attendance. Now they are, I think, a little bit unruly at the moment, so I don't want to upset them, so I'll likely just do whatever they say. And I hope they let me stay president as some sort of puppet. I don't know. In addition to the military office, their assistants were spread out around the room. They stopped their chat immediately and saluted me. Yosef was standing around over the table, arranging tokens atop an oversized map of Sordland and Rumberg. He walked up to me and saluted. Well, at least they're being respectful. Mr. President, and these gentlemen, salute. General sat down and I took my seat at the head of the table. Took a look around and General Vulcan nodded at me. He's the Chief of the Armed Forces, okay. Yosef stood up and picked an extendable pointer from the shelf on the wall. Chattering among those staff began again. Yosef extended the pointer and loudly hit the map on the table right in its centre. Silence! The room immediately went quiet. Everyone had their attention on Yosef. He turned to me. Mr. President, may I begin? Please do. Very well. Everyone in this room has read the reports about the Queen of Rumberg is getting ready for a nationwide speech in 2 weeks. Credible intel that she will be announcing a declaration of war against Sordland. The Rumbergian troop movements in the last 24 hours indicate they are bolstering their frontline strength. The time has come. Mr. President, at this point we are assured that they are preparing for a large-scale invasion. I have faith in our soldiers. We will persevere. To say I'm worried would be an understatement. Surely Make is the enemy of the Queen, but if we triumph, she won't be matter enough for us to worry about. Faith in the soldiers, we will persevere. Unfortunately, faith does not win wars, but soldiers with faith do, Yosef. How soon will they commence the attack? Judging from their movements and the insider information we have received, we have maybe 2-3 weeks if we're lucky. There was a collective gasp from some of the general's assistants. How does our military strength compare to theirs? Estimates put their active military personnel at around 900,000 to 1 million. Meanwhile, we have approximately 200,000 soldiers on the ground. As to the Air Force, our estimates put the number of aircraft in the fleet around 700. We have approximately 410, of which 140 are state-of-the-art jets. Our fleet currently totals 60 and approximately 60,000 sailors. Fortunately, the main theatre of this war will be on land, so that their navy will have a limited impact. I predict they will try to block our seaports, reducing our trade and disrupting our supplies. Meanwhile, Rumberg has about 110 ships. According to the latest intelligence reports, high-tech submarines as well. Regrettably, we don't have an estimate on how many submarines they have. The Queen has assured her royal submarines are under state secrecy. Thus, our intelligence officers are having a hard time spotting them. Overall, their numbers seem superior, but I'd like to remind everyone that wars are not won with numbers alone. Yosef glanced over at the generals and stopped at Vulcan. He shook his head. Okay, what are the odds of success? Ha! Odds of success? Let me tell you something, Mr. President. Roma doesn't have any idea what or who they are dealing with. We will destroy their armies. We will send them back to whatever hellhole they came from. Some of the generals laughed. Rest assured, Mr. President, I am more confident that we will win. I am more than confident that we will win. I understand the situation. Good. Now I have to talk about a defensive strategy. Begin with our land forces. Currently we have the first army deployed at Elstord, right, good, to reinforce the border. This is the place they are most likely to attack from. Second army standing by Lorraine for a possible assault from the north. Okay, good. Sixth army positioned at Narbo, awaiting orders. Yeah, those were the two that she wanted. Due to the potential of an invasion, all three armies have been undergoing vigorous drills, especially during the last few months. They're prepared to fight and die for their country, Mr. President. You have done well, generals. No need for flattery, just doing our duty. Now let's start discussing our path to victory in this war. Oh yes! Our top strategic location is Thornborough, Renberg's capital and the Queen's residence. Needless to say, we managed to capture the Queen, the war will end. What if she flees Thornborough before we get there? What are the chances of capturing their capital? What if she flees before we can get there? I'm proud soldier of Sordland, Mr. President. I'd rather die than give up whole sword to invaders. And I know a prideful person when I see one. If we strike fast, we can capture the capital and the Queen before she comes to her senses. What are the chances of capturing the capital? There might be an opportunity to push for Fernberg after we capture Zarsborough. Okay, where are these places? There's Zarsborough. I don't know where it is. Maybe it's not here, is it? No, I don't think so. I don't know where it is. Okay. But we're ahead of ourselves. Let's get back to what we discussed, the war plan. Can we still win without capturing Thornburg? If we can't do that, it becomes a war of attrition. Whether we can outlast them depends on our economy. Okay. Let's move on. What are the other objectives? Aside from Thornburg, the location that we must capture to even have a chance is Salzburg. Yeah, that's that place there. Yeah, I know that. Salzburg is the intersection of Rumburg complex railway system. If we can take it, we'll have more options on both the offensive and the defensive. Another strategic location is Dome. Dome's over here. Capturing Dome will prevent us from being surrounded and cut off from the east. Also reduce the battle line. We have to cover with our limited forces. I will be frank, we can't fend them off alone, we need help. Ha! We don't need help from anyone else to protect our country. Sordland will stand alone as always. You are talking about fighting against 1 million men! 1 million! Here is the hard truth. We are all alone in this war. Sordland has always been alone. We need to do whatever we can by ourselves. I know we can win. Maybe we should have tried to get some allies after all. I know we can win. Your confidence is inspiring, Mr. President. But anyway, this is what we are dealing with. Let us move on with our war strategy. First objective is taking Zarsborough. How are we taking it? There are 3 options on the table at the moment. One is to simply dig in and endure the first wave of attack, then retaliate after they've weakened. Second option is to launch a full-scale offensive on Zarsborough. Strike them hard and fast before they have a chance to draw first blood. Which is insane in my opinion. Our third option is to do a pincer attack to wipe out their forces, then march towards Zarsborough. In any case, our soldiers in the main armies are well drilled and prepared to carry out any strategy we choose. How is digging in and waiting for them to attack a good option? When they launch their initial offensive, our soldiers and tanks will be entrenched in strategic and well-fortified positions. Let them throw their manpower at our impenetrable line of defence. We will then grind down their armies that they are so proud of. The pride shattered, their morale low, and their line disorganised. We will launch an all-out assault to strike the finishing blow. Sounds like a great idea, actually. Which makes no sense. You're handing them the time and motivation to come up with a plan to attack us. They outnumber us, Joseph. With this move, we will destroy all. At worst, limit the effectiveness of their advantage. We don't even have the manpower to cover the entire border. We don't even have enough reserves to fill potential weaknesses. All thanks to you. You were the one who pushed President Maine to remove mandatory conscription. Okay, why can't we just launch an attack? We choose to attack Zarsborough. Our first step will be to have the old bombers strike them on the front line. More precisely, at strategic points on the path to Zarsborough from Elstord. Then our tanks will come in and punch their defence at Crimsad, followed up by our soldiers. After we penetrate their line, we will race for Zarsborough, threatening an encirclement of their forces. So it all sounds much easier than it is. Mind you, we're butting heads with an army far larger than ours. They can cover weaknesses in their line rapidly, which will leave our troops that are pushing through isolated. Our planes will bomb them to smithereens. With what air force, we will be overwhelmed by Rumberg planes the moment they take off. With our air superiority, our troops will have a tough time on the field. Okay, tell me about our pincer attack. We will feint an assault on Crimsad, full intention of tricking the enemy. Casualties are expected to a certain extent, so that Rumberg will not come suspicious of our real intentions. When they believe they are winning, they will push for Elstord. Their confidence so high, they will never expect the 2nd Army from the east and the 6th Army from the west, which are holding their striking positions, and then at the moment they capture Elstord, we'll pull the trigger. Okay. Our bombers will strike at the logistical hubs behind them, after which we will attack Elstord from all 3 sides, destroying the enemy forces. When Rumberg is recovering from its losses, Zarsborough will be ripe for the taking. That's the time for us to immediately launch a counter-offensive towards Zarsborough and take the city. Monarch's army is trained and equipped for such a task, confident that we will achieve a complete victory with my strategy. I'm ready to choose our first move. What is your decision on the first phase, Mr. President? We will go with the pincer plan. Need to fight smarter, we are weaker. Excellent. So we're doomed then, said Vulcan. Decision is made. Got to trust Joseph. He is the Ministry of Defence. Well, I know he's the Chief of the Armed Forces, but anyway. Joseph and I signed the plan documents for the first phase of the war, and I handed them off to the nearest soldier. So let us assume at this point we have Zarsborough in our hands. This is just the first step. From this point on, it will be harder since we're going deep into hostile territory. I see 2 options for us to move forward. Continue moving towards Thornborough and capture the Queen, or we turn our attention towards Dome. We risk being flanked from the east with either strategy, but it is a risk we must take. Any questions, Mr. President? How would we take Thornborough? We're going for the Queen. After Zarsborough is taken, the enemy will be in shock and their morale will be low. Hence opening a brief window of opportunity for us to march towards Thornborough. However, if we hesitate for even a moment, this window will close. Even worse, the enemy will realise that we are overextending and will try to cut us off. This will leave the bulk of our army isolated in the cold north. Fortunately, our modernised forces have been properly trained and prepared for exactly such a mission. Much as I want to crush all Rumberg in hope by taking their capital, our doctrine does not include these kinds of rapid advances. To boot, our supply line will be stretched too thin, creating a weak point that can be exploited by the enemy. Okay, why can't we just defend Zarsborough from this point on? It's out of the question. Leave us open and the enemy susceptible to a Rumberg pincer attack. They can strike us from all 3 directions, northwest and of course east from Dome. Elaborate on the strategy around Dome. Dome and Zarsborough are excellently linked logistically. Where are they? Oh, these 2, okay. There's a railroad between the 2 cities. Just like the L1 between Lutchevin and Hull Sword. So aid in transporting military supplies and troops. Easily launched an attack on Dome within the first half week after taking Zarsborough. That said, control of the rail system is key because Rumberg can utilise it as well. They can withstand our assault. They can launch a counter-offensive with ease from the direction of Dome to retake Zarsborough. We lose everything we've gained so far. However, with the capture of Dome, there will be no need to take Thornborough. It would be too late to attack anyway. Rumberg could either reinforce their summer defensive, or the Queen could come to her senses and flee the capital. If we manage to capture Thornborough without their queen, we won't be able to hold it during the winter. Supply lines will be too stretched for that. However, with two of their largest cities in our hand, we can lay out a defensive line. Especially around Dome. They took it from Agnolia because of the oil field surrounding it. The industrial sector has been heavily relied on them. With their oil supply cut, they won't have the fuel for the huge war machine and the economy will slowly collapse. We'll be effectively choking them until they capitulate. But we have to consider their defensive in and around the city of Dome. Ever since they took it from Agnolia, we're building up fortifications in case of an Agnolian attempt at retaking the city. Furthermore, due to the length of the operation to take Salisbury, they could come to a realization that Dome is their next target. There's no guarantee that we can take a well-enforced and fortified city without holding the line at the western and northern fronts. Okay, I'm ready to decide. Your decision, Mr. President. We will march towards Thornborough and end this war with a decisive strike against the enemy. It is decided. We will go after the Queen. She will enjoy my prison. I'm warning you, if Rumberg listens to their well-trained officers, this plan will not work. I'm adding it to our battle plan. And that, gentlemen, is our plan against Rumberg, the scum. We have only one chance of victory. Yeah, we've got to go for it. I mean, we've got 200 against their million. We've got to do something. We can't just sit back, because they will just grind us down. If we falter at any point during this war, it will be the end of Sordland as we know it. Yeah, I mean, if I'm not president, I don't really care. Mr. President, we need your executive order to mobilize the forces. Yusuf handed me the order and waited for me to sign the document. The title was Operation Fallen Crown. I sign off on it. That makes it official. He turned to the generals in the room. We have work to do. Get back to your post immediately. Generals saluted and the war room dispersed. Begin the preparations. I stood there alone in the war room, looking at the map of Sordland laid out on the table. I picked up one of the little metal tokens on it and turned it over in my hand. It represented thousands of men who were willing to die for this country and for me. I hoped I would not let them down. Okay, what's going on over here? Republic of Lesbia hereby reiterates commitment to peace in eastern Macopa. Tensions between Rumberg and Sordland have to be prevented to escalate further. We are strongly urging calm in the region. No, she threatened me. I won't be threatened. She'll find out. We report from Vargland. Republic of Varzant hereby reiterates commitment to peace in eastern Macopa. You invaded someone else's territory. What are you talking about? Tensions between Rumberg and Sordland had to be prevented to escalate further. We are strongly urging calm in the region. You're not, Agnolia's not urging calm, are you? You hateful people. Proclamation of war. In order to address the decades-long atrocities committed by Sordland once and for all, effective immediately, Her Majesty Queen Beatrice Livingston declares that a state of war exists in between the Kingdom of Rumberg and Sordland. Ha! Whatever. Read the report from Hullsword. A nationwide mobilization order has been issued to reinforce our manpower pool. New recruits will be mostly serving as reserves, but we will prepare for a worst-case scenario. Approximately 1 million men have been recruited so far, and they will begin their accelerated training immediately. Declaration of war against Rumberg. Nationwide mobilization order. Attention all able-bodied citizens. By law, you are required to report to the nearest Swedish Armed Forces recruitment center immediately. Be tested for aptitude and receive your orders. On a failure to abide, severe legal action will be taken. Do your duty to your nation. Yes, do your duty. I'm doing mine. Rumberg prepares for an invasion. Troop deployments and movements near the Sordland-Rumberg border have increased tenfold over the previous week, signalling a potential hot conflict brewing. The recent nationwide mobilization order proves that Sordland is preparing their defences against Rumberg. Regional neighbours and the Alliance of Nations urged calm in the region. with the exception of President Smolak. Why isn't he helping me? For now, peace in Eastern Makopa is hanging by a thread. It's almost about to snap. Make love, not war. Following the mobilization order issued by the government, the reality of the war with Rumberg is drawing closer. We must do whatever it is to We must do whatever is possible to stop the war. If we fail to do so, thousands of people will die, all in the name of politics. All in my name, I should say. Reach out to your local politicians. Tell them to fight for peace. We need to prevent a large-scale conflict no matter what. We do not want a future where our children will be left fatherless and motherless. We want to see a future where the people are sort of make love, not war. Well, never listen to you radicals. You're not going to help me? Can you help me? I thought you hated them. Can you not like attack along here or something? No. Fine. I was standing at the exact same podium overlooking the Hill of Pride where my inauguration took place. However, the mood this time was far from cheerful. I looked at the people of Sordland below. They were gazing up at me with confusion and concern. My name was announced. I stepped forward as the cameras flashed. The crowd started clapping. Good people of Sordland. Clapping and cheering faded to a deafening silence. As you have heard yesterday, Rumberg declared war on Sordland shortly after their dastardly attack on our sovereignty in the past few months. Their damn queen thinks they can get away with killing our soldiers, then I will tell them this, think again. Fortunately, the times of peace are coming to an end due to the aggression actions of Rumberg. It's my duty as your president to inform you that in the coming days, our country will be targeted with more heinous attacks by our enemy. Yeah, times of peace coming to an end due to the aggressive actions of Rumberg. As a strong and proud Sordland, we have many enemies because they are jealous of us, of our prosperity. Yes, our prosperity. As Swordland citizens, we have all sworn an oath to this country and we are prepared to defend it to our last breath. Swordish army standing ready and vigilant, defend our country against any threat. Yes, we've all sworn an oath to the country. They are playing with fire. Let's teach them that the fire burns inside the Swordish people unlike any other. They used our good intentions to maintain peace against us for too long, so I say that's enough. No choice but to take the next steps against this unwarranted war they are instigating. Yes. They dare to attack Sordland. My Sordland, there is a price to pay and they will pay it with their lives. Our people, our territories, our home is in grave danger to the hostilities. Our armies are already in the process of halting their advances. No, they dare to attack Sordland, my Sordland. There is a price to pay and they will pay with their lives. The news might be worrying, but do not be afraid, Sordland, because I, Anton Rain, am here. Yes! I promise you this, we will be victorious. I want to call on the international community to condemn this deliberate attempt to disrupt world peace. Yes, I'm here. Don't worry, everyone. They want war, so be it. War it is. I announce that Sordland is hereby declaring war on Rumberg. Fortunately, they're giving us no option but to declare a war to protect our sovereignty. Yeah. They will tremble before our might. When we are done with them, we will dine in Thornburg. I have no doubt we will emerge victorious from this senseless conflict. Yes. Yes. Amorga Vescor, Vecton Sister! Crowd started chanting my name. Soldiers and military staff stood up and saluted me at the same time. Yes, they love me. The people love me. Salute the crowd. Yes. I left the podium as the crowd roared even louder. Regardless of my bravado during my speech, I was worried about what the future would bring. I had to wait to find out. Oh. What happened? Okay, let's see. Rumberg's ships sunk and captured in the Markin Sea. Rumberg's navy has been spotted patrolling the Markin Sea. Even Sordland's improved fleet has not been able to keep those ships entirely at bay. Reports of ships sunk in the naval battles are mounting substantially. Fortunately, the losses are mainly on Rumberg's side. The Markin Sea primarily under Swordish control. We managed to sink or capture hundreds of trade ships carrying supplies for Rumberg, some even disguised as civilian boats. Just typical of the Rumbergians, how they operate. Okay, what's going on over here? Oh, there's a lot of news. Okay. Our front lines request more supply. Enemies on the front line are requesting more ammunition, grenades, and medical equipment on the front line. According to their reports, our troops are barely holding the line, and some of our soldiers can't even shoot back due to lack of ammunition. Artillery units have had to fire selectively, which caused a huge rift between our generals and where the focus should be. Fortunately, we are straining our resources and won't have enough to support the entire front line. Yeah, maybe the economy is going to screw us over here. Urizen War Report. Heavy fighting broke out as Rumbergian soldiers advanced on the defensive positions in Urizen. We've lost 87 soldiers, 2 tanks and 14 warplanes. Rumberg's attack has been thwarted, but the assaults are expected to continue. Behind the front line, a special operations team managed to sneak into enemy territory and demolished enemy anti-air systems. They were spotted by the enemy, and an airstrike struck their position. The situation is expected to deteriorate. Of course. What's going on here? Military. At war. Yes. Sordland is a state of war with Rumberg. Military is engaged in a war of survival against the northern menace. Certainly is. Okay, what's going on here? Rumberg artillery targets destroyed. We stopped the continued shelling of Narbel by Rumbergian artillery. Yesterday night, our artillery brigades have targeted their locations and destroyed their heavy weaponry in a counter-artillery strike. Our division will take this opportunity and attempt to break through, create a pocket to trap the enemy tanks. Vecturn's sister! Yes! Victory will be mine! Sorry, ours. Oh no. Hospitals and schools bombed in Estord. Rumberg bombing runs began yesterday night. They have leveled most of the urban areas, attacking hospitals and schools alike. Many dead among the civilian populace. Local commanders report civilians and wounded children inside the target areas. We are sending more anti-aircraft systems to Estord to defend the city, but the local defences are heavily damaged. Okay. Battle of Estord conclusion. Battle of Estord. 7 in the morning, Rumbergian armies marched into the city of Estord. The city was empty, its citizens having been evacuated days earlier. At 9, while the Rumbergian armies were scavenging and looting the scum, what was left, General Lancier sounded the signal for an all-out assault. 12:45, our first wave clashed with their southern flank. Our pincer attack began to take shape as the eastern and western armies began to enclose the enemy. The intense fighting happened both in the sky and on the ground during the night. What else? What happened? What happened? At 4 the following day, Rumbergian troops defending the eastern front of Estord routed. At that crucial moment, Rumberg's commander made a decision that changed the tide of battle. He ordered all divisions to withdraw to the central area of the city. At 11, our troops pushed in the vicinity from all sides. Rumberg general ordered all his men to do a full assault to the east to break out. We were caught off guard. By the time the other armies got to the eastern front, the fighting turned into a melee. They managed to break our eastern front and stopped our pincer. With their rear guard free of our soldiers, they turned around and commenced a full assault on our remaining armies. Oh shit. No, that wasn't supposed to happen. I was promised something else. In the places Rumberg soldiers managed to break our defence, there have been atrocious reports of war crimes. These reports outline death marches on the dislocated civilian populations and mistreatment of prisoners. According to a field commander, they do not fight like a regular army. Reports of new chemical weapons have been sent over to Whole Sword. War crimes will be reported to the international community for the whole world to see. Ah, they're evil! Okay, maybe our pincer's not going to work. I don't know. Sordland goes to war. So it's come to this. Sordland is indeed going to war with Rumberg, following what President Rain referred to as a dastardly attack on our sovereignty by our northern neighbours. In a speech at the capital, he expressed his confidence in our military's capabilities, promised citizens that Sordland will emerge victorious. We pray for our country's good sons as they march off to the front lines. Rain confirms Sordland-Rumberg war. Speaking from the Hill of Pride, Swordage President Anton Rain gave a speech announcing that his country will indeed be going to war with Rumberg. Tensions between the two countries have been escalating since Rain took office, coming to a head in the past month following perceived provocations from Rumberg's side. Geopolitical will continue to provide updates on the developing conflict. President announces senseless war. More innocent people in both Sordland and Rumberg are about to be killed to serve their government's twisted ends. Anton Rain has announced that following Rumberg's provocations, Sordland has no choice but to engage in war. To which we reply, there's always a choice. Sordland has already seen so much bloodshed in its history. How many more young men must die before it stops? Yeah. But they started it. Anyway, this will be the end of this episode. Hopefully things will go a little bit better. Our pincer doesn't seem to have worked. Or our eastern one got crushed for some reason. But I'm sure everything's going to be fine. Yes. Yes. So we'll find out about that next time. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you again in the next episode. Take care.